Hey everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be all about nonfiction books that I'm hoping to read in 2024. This is going to be my third year attempting to read more nonfiction. In 2022, I ended up reading like 30 something of them. It was my best year ever with nonfiction. It ended up being my #1 book genre, which is just crazy. And then last year I ended up reading, I think 13, which is still pretty good. This video is essentially my TBR, my to be read pile, either physical books, so books I already own, and also the ones that I will be using my library for, especially audiobooks, because I shared in the first video where I reviewed all 30 that I had read in 2022 tips and tricks, and for me, audiobook is definitely a game changer in terms of nonfiction. So let's get to it. We're going to start with the physical TBR. The first book is the one that I'm supposed to be reading right now, but I had to press pause because I'm doing a challenge and accidentally picked one of nonfiction in the big jar. So the first one I will be finishing after that is Bullshit Jobs, which the concept sounded really interesting to me. I've only read the intro, so that hardly counts. But the author, I believe, mentions how in our society, in a very capitalistic society, a lot of jobs are created just to keep us like busy, like useless, pointless jobs that don't bring anything to society, nor any kind of fulfillment for the person doing it. So it's a topic. I don't know if it needs, how many pages is that? 300 pages to discuss it. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But yes, I'm really, really intrigued, and I'll let you know if that one is worth it. I've heard great things about the author in general. I do have one about Depth by him on my shelf. Actually, let me include a clip of all the books that I have on my shelf. It's not the genre that I tend to own the most books from, since I love buying used books, and it's really difficult to find nonfictions that are, well, that seem interesting to me, really. But if you see anything on my shelf, definitely feel free to let me know that I should try them. I have read a couple of them already, obviously. I've heard really great things from you guys about this one. This is Entangled Life, How Fungi Makes Our World, Change Our Minds, and Shape Our Future. I really like sciencey nonfiction, but one of the things that have been changing the last couple of years is to try to go somewhere else, because I noticed that I couldn't read more than like a handful of them throughout the year. I mean, I'm tired when I read. I tend to read more before bed, which I've been switching up for nonfiction, but I feel like it can be really overwhelming when you're just too tired to pick up a book. And the ones that sound a little bit more light and fun definitely help me just go through them more often. But this is a great one. Apparently the audiobook is also really nice, so I might flip-flop between the two from my library, but that's the one I own. But I love the idea of like trying different topics and seeing if that's something that I want to learn more about. So fungi sounded fun. The rest of the ones that I own a physical copy might not be categorized as fun, so we're just gonna go through them anyway because, you know, doesn't need to be fun to be interesting. We have Are Prisons Obsolete, which I think is a really important topic to explore, something that I've been really wanted to explore. I did really enjoy another book by the author, Angela Davis. I would highly recommend Women, Race and Class. Love that one. Took me months to go through it because, again, it's very heavy, but this one is quite short, and I've been really intrigued about, what's the name? Abolitionist movement. So I wanted to see what the arguments were, see if I will agree or not. So that's something that I wanted to explore. I also have Doing Harm, which is the truth about how bad medicine and lazy science leave women dismissed, misdiagnosed, and sick. Another topic that I am really interested in. I read like 5 or 6 books like that in 2022, and this one was like the last one on my like official first TBR, and I just never got around to reading that one because it's a physical book and I was a little bit burned out with the topic. It's quite enraging, but I really appreciate how this topic is being brought up more and more often, and how we're finally realizing that maybe half the population should also be tested in terms of like, I don't know, medication we're using. So this topic hits a little too close to home, but I really wanted to get that one too. I've heard really good things about it. I also wanted to read this one. This is The 7 Necessary Sins for Women and Girls, which I saw a clip of the author talking about her book, and I ended up buying it, wanting to read it, and I just got, you know, overwhelmed. It's not too long, but it's about how, well, the topic that I had seen, the author was talking about like politeness and like who is being served by politeness, who decided what is considered polite, and that's something that also hit pretty close to home, so I wanted to get to this one. I have a couple actually like feminist kind of nonfiction on my shelf, and I will most likely pick up some. I just didn't know which one to include in this video, but this one is definitely high on my list. One of the ones that is quite old that I had been recommended by someone in real life is Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is about myths and stories of the wild woman archetype. So I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy this or not. I feel like some older feminist work tend to be a little bit too like woohoo, like what's the word, like new age for me. And I don't know if that's going to be the case with this one or not. I'm just mentioning it because I feel like the title kind of gives me those vibes a little bit. But I do think it's really interesting to look into like older stories about women and how things have really changed over time, and how especially like religion, for example, and more like patriarchy has been influencing all those stories. So pretty interesting. I had tried to start reading it. I'm at page 8. Not really very far. So we'll see how that goes, but I do want to give that one a fair shot. I also have They Were Her Property. I've been wanting to read that one ever since I got it. This is about white women as slave owners in the American South. I feel like the way I was raised, I'm from Canada, so I feel like we didn't talk about slavery like whatsoever, but I feel like what I've been hearing growing up tended to be more like, oh, men were the bad people, you know, with the whole slavery thing. And I feel like the older you get, the more you realize that's a lie. That's such a lie. So I've been wanting to learn more about the topic, so I thought this book would be great. This one is by Yale University, so I'll check that one out. I've been wanting to read it, so I just need to get to it. Obviously more intimidated because it seems quite heavy, but I've been really enjoying trying to read just a couple pages every day for nonfiction. And then I have this one, which is Why Does He Do That? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men. I've read a couple pages of this book. You can get this one as a PDF for free online. I just like to annotate some of these nonfictions. I wanted my own physical copy. So I've read little sentences here and there from that book, but I wanted to own my own copy and get through the whole thing. So this is something that I've recommended to people. So I wanted to just, you know, actually read the whole thing before I do that again. Okay, so those are all the ones that I have a physical copy of. So let me go through the ones from the library. So the first one I'm seeing is Know My Name. I have been meaning to get to that one for years at this point. My library messed up at one point and removed it from my waiting list, so that's my excuse, but I will be reading that one as soon as possible. I also wanted to pick up I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki. I have heard bad things about it though. It's only 4 hours, so I wanted to give it a shot. I believe this is like the author kind of memoir slash therapy sessions. It's about her depression, so we'll see. Again, I've seen it a lot and it's only 4 hours, so we'll see. The next one is The 100 Years War on Palestine. I put my name on the waiting list a couple months ago at this point, and I finally will be getting my hands on it. I think this is going to be on my February TBR. This is a history of settler colonialism and resistance. I've been meaning to inform myself more about the situation, and I feel like we've been following like live almost the horrifying situation, the genocide happening there. So I wanted to inform myself, so that's the one that I picked up. It had the best reviews, so we'll try that one. I do have How to Keep House While Drowning, which again, incredibly short audiobook. It's about 3 hours, but I thought it would be interesting to learn some tips and tricks about cleaning while drowning. When I was looking at the Goodreads Choice Awards winners for the nonfiction category, a lot of you told me that Poverty by America was actually really good, so I put my name on the waiting list for the audiobook. They're currently saying at least 6 months, so who knows, but it's on there if, you know, I get to it. I also have Empire of Pain on my waiting list. It's been on there for like 2 years, no joke, but it's like 18 hours long. That's my excuse. Also another one that the library removed, the app removed from my waiting list at one point. So that's also my excuse, but I've heard really great things. This is about the, they're saying the secret history of the Sacklers dynasty. It's about the opioid epidemic in the US. So intrigued to get to that one. I have read another book on the topic, but apparently this one is really, really good. So we'll get to that. Oh, this one is actually available right now. This is An Astronaut's Guide to Life. I have the physical book. The book was written by an astronaut. Is he Canadian? I think he might be. Either way, I read another book by him, a fiction book. Did not care for it. It was way too like US versus Russia, like military vibes. But I've heard that his nonfiction is really good and it's been on my shelf for a shameful amount of time. So hopefully it will happen. Ooh, another one that has been on my TBR for a really long time. A lot of you told me to pick it up. This is Breeding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants, which apparently the audiobook is really good. So let me know if you enjoyed it. I will definitely add that to my list. There are some from the library that are ebooks, but I have since learned that I will not pick up ebooks very often, especially the nonfiction kind. So super quickly, just in case it sounds appealing to you, or if you've read it and you think it would still be worth attempting to read the ebook from the library. There is The Urge, Our History of Addiction, which I thought might be interesting. And there's also The Hot Zone, which is about the terrifying true story of the origin of the Ebola virus, which I don't know, I put that on my waiting list before the pandemic. So it's been there for a while. But I feel like I've burnt out on the topic a little bit because of the global situation at the moment. But it's on there if. There's also Men Explain Things to Me, which a lot of people said was good, but again, my library only have the ebook, so I don't know. There's also Burnt Out, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle, which this isn't necessarily a topic I'm super into, but I have read Come As You Are from the same author, and I've heard that it's also good, so I might pick that one up and give it a shot. I also wanted to get to Freedom is a Constant Struggle, Ferguson, Palestine, and the Foundation of a Movement, but again, also they only have the ebook, so I'm putting it out there. I feel like I don't know why I really struggle with ebooks that are nonfiction. I feel like either I need to listen to it or have a physical copy that I can annotate. One that I wanted to give a shot to is The Song of the Cell by the same author that wrote the one about cancer and the one about DNA. I've listened to those two books or read a physical copy, so I wanted to continue trying more of his books. I really like the one about cancer. Ooh, another one that is an ebook, and that's the reason I have yet to pick it up, and it is Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from colonial times to the present, which I feel like is, again, a really important topic that I know very little about, so I wanted to get to it. I've heard great things about the author. I've actually seen, again, clips of her online, so I wanted to try that. And I think that's like the main list of the books that I'm hoping to get to this year. Obviously, I probably will not get to all of them. I might. I mean, again, the first year I did go through like 34, something ridiculous, so it's possible. It's possible. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of the books that I have mentioned, letting me know which ones I should prioritize, which ones that might sound interesting to you, and if you have any other recommendations. Always leave them in the comment section because you can always request new books, ebooks, physical books, audiobooks from your library. I know mine will get them if they were published in the last 3 years, which is not a lot, but it's better than having to buy it new if you can afford it. I do like to try to make nonfiction less intimidating. I am planning on doing more videos recommending the ones that I've been finding really interesting, that I think a lot of you would enjoy, that are like beginner friendly, not intimidating. So that's it. Thumbs up, subscribe, more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in a upcoming video very soon. Bye.